The rain poured relentlessly as I pulled into the parking lot of the old roadside hotel. I was on a long, late-night drive, and the flashing vacancy sign seemed like a beacon of respite. The lobby was empty when I entered, and the flickering fluorescent lights gave the place an eerie ambience. I approached the front desk, where a middle-aged woman with tired eyes greeted me. Her name tag read Evelyn. "One room for the night, please," I requested. She handed me an old brass key and said, "Room 312, top floor, elevators to your left." The elevator groaned its way to the third floor, and the hallway was dimly lit, casting long shadows that seemed to move with each flicker of the overhead lights. Room 312's door was slightly ajar, and I hesitated for a moment before pushing it open. The room was clean, but had an unmistakable musty odor. I decided to leave the lights off and settled into bed, the rhythmic patter of rain on the window lulling me to sleep. Sometime later, I awoke to the sensation of being watched. The room was pitch black, and I couldn't see anything. My heart raced as I strained my ears, trying to pinpoint the source of my unease. That's when I heard it. A soft, raspy breathing from the corner of the room. Panic seized me, and I fumbled for the bedside lamp. The dim light revealed a figure sitting in the chair, shrouded in darkness. "Who's there?" I stammered. No response, just that eerie, wheezing breath. I leaped out of bed, backing toward the door. I flicked the light switch, but nothing happened. A power outage, maybe. I reached for my phone, praying it would provide some illumination, but it too was dead. The breathing grew louder, and I strained to see the figure. It was a woman, her face obscured by long, disheveled hair. She was rocking slowly, back and forth. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice trembling. The rocking stopped, and she turned her head to face me. Her eyes were hollow sockets, devoid of life. She let out a blood-curdling scream, and I bolted from the room, slamming the door behind me. I raced down the stairs, not stopping until I was back in the empty lobby. Evelyn was gone, and the lobby lights flickered ominously. I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked within the hotel. To this day, I don't know what I encountered in room 312, but I'll never forget those empty, soulless eyes. It's a nightmarish memory that still haunts my dreams, reminding me that sometimes the most terrifying horrors are the ones that defy explanation. The dimly lit hotel hallway stretched out before me, a labyrinth of identical doors. I had checked into this place for a quick overnight stay, never suspecting the horrors that awaited me within its aging walls. As I entered my room, a musty odor hit me like a wall of decay. The air conditioner rattled to life, coughing out a cloud of dust. I cursed my decision to stay at this rundown establishment, but it was too late to change my mind now. I unpacked my bag and settled in for the night, determined to make the best of it. I tried to distract myself with a book, but the shadows in the room seemed to dance to an eerie tune of their own. Every creak, every groan of the ancient building sent shivers down my spine. Then, as the clock struck midnight, it began. A faint whisper, barely audible, echoed through the room. "Help me," it begged, a voice filled with despair. I froze, convinced it was my imagination playing tricks on me. But then it came again, louder this time, more desperate. I scanned the room, my heart racing, but there was no one there. The voice seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, as if the very building were crying out for help. As the minutes passed, the voice grew stronger, more insistent. It began to recount a horrifying tale of a past tragedy that had unfolded within these very walls. A murder, a suicide, a haunting that had plagued the hotel for decades. The voice spoke of lost souls trapped in eternal torment, their anger and suffering radiating through the building. I couldn't take it any longer. I grabbed my things and headed for the door, but as I reached for the handle, it refused to turn. Panic surged through me as I realized I was trapped, locked in this nightmarish room. The voice grew louder, more desperate, as if it could sense my fear. It pleaded with me to stay, to help it find release from its torment. But I couldn't. I had to get out, had to escape this place. With a final, desperate shove, I managed to force the door open and stumbled out into the hallway. The voice followed me, echoing in my ears as I fled down the corridor. It was joined by other voices, other cries for help, all of them trapped in the cursed hotel. I burst through the front doors, gasping for breath, and never looked back. As I stood on the sidewalk, the building loomed behind me, its windows glowing with an eerie, malevolent light. I had escaped, but the voices still haunted my nightmares, a reminder that some horrors are all too real, lurking just behind the facade of the ordinary. And I knew that I could never truly leave that hotel behind, for its dark secrets would forever be a part of me. I arrived at the quaint little hotel, nestled deep within a remote forest. Its isolated location was the perfect escape from the hustle and bustle of city life. The moment I stepped into the lobby, I felt a strange unease. The receptionist's eyes lingered on me for a moment too long, and the silence in the lobby was oppressive. After checking in, I headed to my room on the 3rd floor. The narrow, dimly lit hallway seemed to stretch on forever, and a chill hung in the air, making me shiver. I entered my room, and a feeling of dread washed over me. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something was off. As night descended, I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling. I decided to take a shower to relax, but the moment I turned on the tap, a rush of ice-cold water scalded my skin. I jumped back, my heart pounding. The faucets had been working perfectly earlier. I tried to call the front desk, but the phone was dead. Frustration gave way to unease as I realized that I was truly alone in this eerie place. Lying in bed, I heard faint, muffled footsteps in the hallway. My anxiety skyrocketed as they approached my door, pausing just outside. I held my breath, listening intently. Then, with a soft click, my doorknob turned. The door inched open, revealing an empty hallway bathed in moonlight. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or make a sound. After a few moments, the door slowly closed, as if whatever had opened it had lost interest. I considered leaving, but the idea of venturing into the dark forest at night was equally terrifying. I decided to stay put, clutching my blanket tightly. Then came the whispers. Faint at first, like distant murmurs in a dream, but they grew louder and clearer. It sounded like a chorus of voices, their words incomprehensible yet filled with sorrow. I ventured closer to the door, and the whispers seemed to come from the walls themselves. They spoke of a tragic event that had occurred in the hotel years ago. A fire had consumed the building, trapping guests who had perished in the inferno. Their restless spirits were said to haunt the place, seeking release. Inexplicable phenomena continued to unfold. Shadows danced across the room, and the temperature fluctuated wildly, swinging from unbearable heat to bone-chilling cold. I felt a presence in the room, an oppressive weight on my chest, as if someone or something was watching me. Desperation gripped me. I needed to escape this nightmare. Gathering every ounce of courage, I threw open the door and fled down the darkened hallway, past countless identical doors. As I reached the lobby, I saw the receptionist again, her eyes hollow and vacant. She whispered in a haunting, monotonous voice, "You can't leave. None of us can." I ignored her, pushing open the front door and stumbling out into the forest. The chilling whispers and eerie apparitions haunted my every step, but I didn't look back. Weeks later, I returned to the town, determined to uncover the truth about the hotel. To my horror, I discovered that the hotel had burned down decades ago, taking with it the lives of all its guests. No trace of the building remained, and the forest had long since reclaimed the land. The chilling realization struck me. I had stayed in a place that existed only in the realm of the supernatural, a place where the trapped souls of the past continued to torment anyone unfortunate enough to cross their path. I shuddered, knowing that I had narrowly escaped becoming one of them.